All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about that super exciting, and let's be honest, sometimes kind of scary journey of taking a brilliant idea you have and turning it into a real product. Something that actually makes an impact and that people genuinely love to use.
And this question right here, this is probably where it all begins for so many of us. You've got the vision, you can see the problem that needs solving, but bridging that gap from just a concept to actual working code, that can feel like a massive hurdle. Where do you even start? Well, a great way to figure out the path forward is to look at the track record of people who've already walked it. So let's look at some numbers. First up, over 150 projects launched, and we're talking everything from brand new startups to big enterprise solutions. But launching is one thing, right? What about success? What about growth? Well, the clients behind those projects, they've gone on to secure over $10 million in funding. And a lot of times, that's directly because of the tech that was built. And then there's this number, which might be the most telling of all, a 99% client satisfaction score. And that, right there, tells you something absolutely crucial. Building great software isn't just about being a good coder, it's about being a trusted partner. So, who's the team behind these numbers? The ones we're using as our guide to walk through this whole process? That would be Genuine Stack. For over 5 years now, with teams on the ground in both India and the US, Genuine Stack has been doing just that, specializing in custom software, APIs, and AI solutions for clients all over the world. Now, here's what I think is really cool about their approach. It's not some cookie-cutter, one-size-fits-all deal. It's better to think of it like a toolkit, with specific tools designed to help you no matter what stage of growth you're at. So let's say you're an early-stage founder. This question is everything. You have to prove your concept works, but you can't spend a year and a fortune doing it. So what's the solution? It's the minimum viable product, or the MVD. And at this stage, speed is everything. Looking at Genuine Stack's process, their average launch time for an MVP is just 4 weeks. I mean, think about that. In an industry where this can easily take months, that kind of speed is a huge competitive advantage. It means you're learning from real users and talking to investors way, way sooner. So how do they pull that off? Well, it's all about having a super structured process. It kicks off with a quick discovery phase to really nail down the vision. Then it's straight into design and planning, followed by a focused 2 to 4 week sprint on just the core features. And finally, you launch, which is when the real learning starts. And hey, don't just take my word for it. This is a perfect example of that speed in action. Nissant from Finlytics launched his MVP in only 3 weeks and was able to close enterprise pilots that same month. That's the power of moving fast. Okay, so that's for startups, but what if you're a more established business? Maybe your biggest challenge isn't validating an idea, it's just making things run smoother. If you want to streamline your workflows and cut down on costs, this is where AI automation really shines. And the results? Well, they speak for themselves. We're talking about a 300% increase in efficiency, a 60% drop in operational costs, and a 95% reduction in those little manual errors that add up. These are the kinds of numbers that directly boost the bottom line. And you might think this is some super complex thing, but the process itself is actually pretty straightforward. Basically, the AI takes in data, it processes it using smart analysis, makes a decision based on the rules you've set, and then it just does the task and lets everyone know it's done. It's all about getting that repetitive work off your team's shoulders. Of course, sometimes you're past the MVP stage and you're ready to build the whole shebang. This is where you need that full stack development muscle, whether you're building a sleek web app, a mobile app for everyone, or the heavy-duty backend and cloud stuff that makes it all run. A key part of any modern software is the API. It's how all the different services talk to each other. Think of it like a waiter at a restaurant. With a classic RESTful API, you order a specific dish off the menu. But with GraphQL, it's more like you can tell the waiter exactly which ingredients you want. It's way more flexible. A truly expert team knows how to build both, so they can use the right tool for the job. So we've seen the what, the different solutions they offer. But let's be honest, the how is just as important, right? Building software can sometimes feel like a total black box, which is why having a clear, transparent process is so vital for building trust. And this timeline lays that whole journey out perfectly. It all starts with a 1 to 2 week deep dive into discovery and planning. From there, it moves into a 4 to 12 week phase of development and testing. Then, a dedicated quality assurance phase makes sure everything is buttoned up and secure before you go live. And it doesn't stop there, it includes ongoing support. The goal is simple:
No surprises.
And this is what that process actually feels like for a client. Emily at CareBridge Health points out two of the most critical things in any project: crisp communication and respecting deadlines. They took a complicated idea and made it into something reliable.
And I love this quote from Frank at Shipwright because it gets to the very heart of the philosophy here. It's about caring about outcomes, like better performance and fewer customer complaints, not just about shipping lines of code. And that's the real difference between a contractor and a partner. So, after seeing the services, walking through the process, and hearing the proof, the question naturally kind of turns back to you and to your vision. At the end of the day, that journey from idea to impact really requires two things: a great vision, that's your part, and expert execution. When you have a partner who is dedicated to outcomes and follows a proven process, the real question isn't if you can build it, but what incredible thing are you going to create? So we've walked through a proven framework for taking an idea and turning it into something with real impact. If you're ready to take that step with your own project, well, the journey starts right here. Reach out and get that conversation started. That's all for this explainer.